Hey everybody, welcome to the Blizzard Watch podcast. We're here doing the show that we do every week. Hi, I'm Matt. I forgot my own name there for a second. With me this week are Joe and Liz, who also host the show and whose names I did remember at least. So we've got quite a bit to talk about. Looking at some of the stuff that we have here, I could only get in so much because I, quite frankly, was having a hard time with my internet today. But I do want to mention this one first, even though it is about Overwatch. Overwatch 2 is testing the return of 6x6 play in Season 14. They're going to have a new 6x6 bracket. If you remember the original Overwatch, it was a 6x6, wasn't it? That's how it was.
Yes. I believe this is just a testing thing, though. Yeah. They're trying it out, which is still, I feel like maybe Joe could have an opinion on this that I do not have.
Well, I'm curious, Joe.
I think Overwatch was at its best when it was 6v6, like hands down. I don't know. I don't know what else. Like you can probe me or ask questions about it, but like,
well, I'm curious what you think about the fact that they're doing this test. I mean, they made the change to 5v5 very specifically because of professional Overwatch play, which is now pretty much dead, right?
It is very much dead outside of like maybe junior leagues or whatever you want to call them. They did it because of that, but they did it mostly because they didn't want multi-tank meta. And the problem is multiple tanks could be incredibly disruptive when played in a coordinated fashion. And you could see this even back in, Overwatch 1 in casual play or ranked play. If you had two people on a team that were really good at tanking and could play tanks at a high level, you could disrupt an entire team by yourself. That said, because there is a matchmaking basis in the game that goes off of skill and wins and all the other stuff, they don't call it MMR, but it's MMR. Let's be 100% honest. You don't really have to worry about that because you're just going to get paired against other people that do the same thing. And for me, that was some of the most fun Overwatch I've ever played, was when you have a battle of four tanks just kind of going at it back and forth while the rest of the team is trying to figure out, well, how do we get in here or how do we deal with this? And they were some of the most fun matches, some of the most give and take, some of the least one-sided matches I've ever experienced. And in Overwatch 2, and I will say this, and my experience, it may be different than others. I want to make sure that I acknowledge this for those of you that do still play. Most of the Overwatch 2 games I play in quick play and in ranked play are very one-sided very early. And that means that the matches are quicker, but it also means that once you get to a certain point, you feel like you can never get back or come back. I remember moving the payload back and forth and those type of matches and having them take a while, and those felt good. Right? Like it felt like you had skin in the game. You could go back and forth. You could run the clock out. You had options. And in some of these maps now, if you get to a certain point, there's no point in even fighting back. Just let the match end. So you can go on to the next game because you're never going to claw back enough to actually make it matter. And I feel like with the 5v5, that became a lot more frequent. With the 6v6, you could pull some miracles out of your tuchus. Like you always felt like you had an option to try. It always felt like there was more incentive or never give up. You have a chance. It may be a slim chance, but you have a chance. I don't feel like that in 5v5.
Cool. I get motion sick trying to play Overwatch, so I basically just watch videos of other people playing it. So I remember 6v6 and thought it was fun, but I don't have much skin in the game. But I wanted to mention that one first, just because I thought it was an interesting reversion. Even the idea of just seeing about it continues the process of Overwatch 2 changing into Overwatch 1 that I keep seeing.
Except with the battle pass.
Except with the battle pass. Yeah, it's like, what is it? It's like it's that thing everybody has now. But whatever. Channel Joker from Mass Effect 2. But I do want to move on to some of these World of Warcraft stories because this one is kind of... It's one I'd heard of but not actually watched. Liz put it in here. The Remarkable Life of Ibelin. Is that how it's pronounced? Ibelin?
Ibelin, I think.
Okay, Ibelin. The Remarkable Life of Ibelin documentary, which is on Netflix, talks about a gamer with degenerative muscular disease who used Warcraft. I'm going to assume, was this World of Warcraft or just
World of Warcraft? He has an
World of
NPC in the game
Warcraft.
too.
Yeah.
Okay, where he was able to, basically live. Like he could associate with people. He could do group activities. He could have friends, which is very hard for somebody with various degenerative muscular diseases to do, because as they progress, you become less and less able to go out. So
he was confined to a wheelchair, and as he got older, he had less and less strength. He was less and less able to go out and to do things. And even through the course of the documentary, you see earlier in his life, he would sit at a desk and use a normal keyboard to play games. And towards the end of his life, he is confined to a wheelchair completely. He is using a specialized keyboard, and he talks about, well, there's always some key I can't reach. And it gets less and less. There's some key I can't reach, and, you need that key. So,
yeah. And then now you also mentioned here that there's a pet that they're selling. It's support cure Duchenne. I can't pronounce this word. It's French. I think it's Duchenne with the Revan pack, and it's so far the video is showing me an astonishingly cute fox in a Sherlock Holmes outfit.
Yes,
so automatically I'm like yeah. So you want to talk about this?
I mean, Evelyn in game, he did like this role play detective thing to where he had his own like detective agency, which. It talks about how someone was thinking, he just did this to like meet and interact with people, playing this kind of detective game. And so, yes, there's this little fox with kind of a Sherlock Holmes hat. And in retail WoW, you also get a backpack, which is, a cloak slot item, cosmetic. It's a backpack with the little fox with its little Sherlock Holmes hat on, asleep in the backpack. And if you're idle for a while, a butterfly will fly up and land on the fox's nose. And it's the most precious thing I've ever seen. I'm just saying.
I don't have the ability to do so, and yet I was immediately like, I must grab this little fox and keep it safe from everything. I've only known this fox for 3/10 of a second, and if anything ever happened to him, I would destroy everyone in this world and then myself.
It's exactly like that. Yes.
Yeah.
I think I also want to make sure that we highlight that like this is a heartwarming, sad, but also a heartwarming story. Like we often talk about the bad side of gaming, and that tends to make a lot of the news. But stuff like this really highlights like what games can do for people. There's a content creator that I do watch regularly, like that makes Minecraft videos of all things. Good Times with Scar, who like he's another person. He has a neuromuscular disease that. He's in a wheelchair and has to have oxygen, but like his content is friendly and funny, and he has friends as a result of this. He can't really leave his house, but he has a ton of friends that he met because of this. And like the same thing with Evelyn. You get the same like warmth and funny because like they give you, these video games give you an opportunity to overcome your limitations. In a way, it reminds me of like explaining to my mother that my internet friends were my real friends, right? Like, there's a level of that, and this is something that like really highlights how much truth that is, right?
Yeah, I mean, some of the people I've known online for like almost 30 years at this, and it's just I can't say I don't know them. I can't say that they're not people in my life, but we've not met physically, and we probably never will. Mm-hmm. It is a weird thing. Go ahead, Liz. I'm sorry.
The documentary really posits that Evelyn's family really thought, he's passed away. This is really tragic. He didn't have this opportunity to get out and make friends and to experience life. And they made a post on his blog that he had passed away, and they started getting email. They started getting all of these emails from people who had played games with him, with people whose lives he had touched, and, just hundreds of emails. And they had no idea until that point that all of this time he'd spent in front of the computer playing games, he was making friends, he was out there in the world living in a way that was difficult for him to do in the physical world. And it's a really beautiful story. It is, you go into the story knowing how it ends, and it is extremely sad, but it's also very sweet. And I think if you have spent a lot of time playing video games, you will relate to some of the things going on here. It's also told partially via machinima.
Yes.
They've done, which is really interesting. They've gone and recreated scenes from the game of Eiblin interacting with people, and just in a machinima style. So that also hits a particular kind of nostalgia angle, I think, with a lot of us old time WoW gamers. And it's
Art of War
really
Blind.
You can watch it now on Netflix, The Remarkable Life of Eiblin, and you can buy that pet. It is $20. All proceeds go to Cure Duchenne's, which is the specific type of muscular dystrophy that Eiblin had.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, and it will make you feel feelings, and I cried.
Oh yes,
I cried a lot.
Yep.
Freely will admit that I have emotions.
Yes, he does. I do not. Not so bad. Okay, we're going to move on to something that's less likely to make us cry, due to emotions in that way, unless the emotion we're talking about could potentially be anger. The Brutosaur mount is back. Remember the Brutosaur mount that was like the big deal throughout Battle for Azeroth that everybody was saving their gold to get?
Matt's going to hate me.
Now, I'm sure you have it. Dude, a lot of my friends have it. I just didn't see the reason to buy it. And I still don't. But you can now buy this thing for $90 USD. It's 120 something up here. And yeah, I don't care in that I'm not offended by this. I know people who are straight up angry, and I'm not, but I know a lot of people are, so I need to be aware of that possibility. But to me, it's like $90 for a mount? $90?
It is a lot. It is a high number of dollars.
People complain about the expansions costing like $65.
Yeah.
And this is just one mount, and it's $90. And
I will note that unlike the original mount, this has an auction house and a mailbox on it. Mm-hmm. Am I correct? It has a mailbox as well?
I believe it does, yeah.
It's a new look. It is black with gold armor, and it looks absolutely slick. I really thought the same thing you did when I first read about this, Matt. I was like, what? $90? $90 to buy a dinosaur in game? And then I'm like, well, a dinosaur game, maybe. But the thing is, the original mount cost 5 million gold.
Your gold cap. It was gold cap at the time.
That is a high amount of gold.
Yeah, and keep in mind that we can't make a determination on that, but we can estimate it because there's an amount of gold per token, and you can buy the tokens for real money. So
if you buy WoW tokens with in-game gold, those WoW tokens can become Blizzard balance, which you can use to buy this Brutosaur mount.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you do it in that way, depending on the current value of the tokens, I wrote the article about it, and I did the math at the time, and it was about 1.2 million gold to buy this. So
at the time of this recording, it is still roughly that.
Yes. So if you are a person who does a lot of auction housing, and you have a lot of gold, and if you have more than 1.2 million gold in game, you could buy this without spending $90. And that started to make a lot more sense to me.
I mean, heck, it's a bargain at that point. Although I actually think...
At that point, yes, it is.
I think for people who are spending the $90, they're kind of getting ripped off. But I'm not... No, actually, it's the other way around. Because it's something like $20 for one WoW token, isn't it?
It is exactly $20 USD for one WoW token.
One WoW token, I believe, is something around the lines of like a couple 100,000 gold.
It depends on the day.
It fluctuates.
Yeah,
it fluctuates depending on demand.
That's why we have to. Right now, the demand is fairly high.
Well,
because people are trying to buy this.
It's already dropped again. I think it topped out at about 350,000, and it's fallen again.
The 7-day high, like I actually have stats on this because I saw this question. So, the 7-day high in the US was 351,000 gold. In the EU, it was 450,000. In the last 24 hours, as of the time of this recording, the 24-hour high was 267,000 gold US, and then EU was 354,000. So your region really matters on that one, and it will fluctuate wildly. And we've seen this throughout because Not gonna lie, I buy tokens and sell them for gold occasionally when the price is right. Because why wouldn't I? I'm lazy and I don't have to farm. Sign me the heck up. But yeah, it's still sitting there in the category of 257,000 gold in the US right now. So still pretty good.
At any rate, I will say that it is pretty. Like the gold coloration and the black animal actually work really well. It's an annoying mount in some ways because it is enormous.
Yeah.
And I don't know its collision status now, but it used to have a really terrible collision status. Like you could not get around it. So people would park it on top of things, which makes it really annoying to try to use the freaking thing. Or the things that it's parked on top of, like if you're trying to use a forge, say, and there's a giant Brutosaur, it's kind of hard to collect the forge. Regardless, it is dang pretty mount, and it's going to be around for pretty much the whole anniversary.
Yeah,
I think it's up till January.
Blizzard hasn't promised an exact date, but they did say it's a special for the anniversary event. So I would assume through the beginning of January when the anniversary event is going to end.
So if you didn't get it before and you want it, you can do the thing Joe and Liz have just talked about and convert a whole bunch of gold, or you can spend $90 US, and then you'll have this mount. And as Liz pointed out, it does have both a mailbox and an auction house.
And I really do like the fact that the gems on the harness are like each of the expansions. Like each color of the gem is like the color of the expansion circle. Like if you look at the box art.
Oh yeah,
really neat.
That's actually something I hadn't noticed until you said that. Now I'm looking at it and going, oh yeah, you can see it. It also looks really cool rearing, quite frankly. This is an animal that rears extremely well. But yeah, it is a beautiful mount. I take nothing away from it being really, really, really well done. The harness and everything, it's a beautifully animated, beautifully rendered thing. But I still don't feel like I want to spend $90 on it.
Which is fair.
Yeah, and but I don't have to. That's the good thing. I do not have to buy this. The only reason you might feel like you have to buy it is because it is going to go away sooner or later. And I've seen a lot of people speculating they should put this on the weekly trading. They should put this on the monthly trading post. And I'm like, if they do, they better not do it soon. Because I think if people buy this thing and then like say it's on the trading post in February of next year, people are going to like lose their minds.
There's going to be riots. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that they don't do that. Quite frankly, I'd rather never have this mount than have to deal with like all the upsetness of people thinking like I spent $90 on this and now they're just giving it away for tendies. So yeah, I don't know how many tendies it would cost either because it would probably have to be a ridiculous
1 million tendies.
How am I going to earn 1 million tendies? Oh, we've got a special event for you called Tendy Apocalypse. Sorry. But anyway, so yeah, speaking of the November Trading Post, what do we think, guys? Go ahead.
Can you believe the end of this week is November?
Yes, it's Friday.
Somehow it's. Yeah,
some of you are listening to us from November. Like you're in November right now listening to this. Yeah. Woo. But yeah, so what do you guys think? What's your favorite so far?
Well, I mean, you do get your Dark Ranger look here, which is it's a tiny itty bitty bit Sylvanas-y, so I know that one is going to have its fans.
Yeah, I like the Gladiator suit, actually, the Gladiator battered armor. I really like it. I think it looks really cool. It's one of those situations where I think I'm probably more into just the general aesthetic of it than anything else. I don't know why I felt, I just like it. I like it. I like the idea. So yeah, I'm desperately trying to figure out if I'm going to get this or not. The problem I'm having is that quite frankly, it's like, I don't have enough time for World of Warcraft and Diablo 4 right now.
It is difficult.
Yeah, I can't. So I basically sitting here right now going, I really want to do the anniversary event. I really want to play WoW, but I need to sleep occasionally because I'll get sick. It's like, guys, I really will get sick. So yeah, I don't know. But I do love I do like the Gladiator set. There's a lot of stuff here.
Well, it's mostly because the class armors have returned.
Yeah, it's a bunch of stuff you could have gotten before. But they also have a fair amount of weapons. Again, many of them are ones that popped up before, like the Gladiator's battered greatsword, which is like the Gladiator's battered greatsword, which is, it is what's on the tin, but I like big two-handed swords, so that's my choice for weapon that I like. What do you guys like, Joe? Anything in particular you're looking to get, like maybe the Fury of the Firelord or what?
Nope, I have all this stuff already. So this is not a very exciting month for me because I've already collected most of the stuff that I want or lookalikes from it, and the coolest shield that they have available is a warrior shield, which I'm sure is great for warriors.
Yeah.
But it's, I can't use it as a shaman, so I don't get a wolf head shield. Yay.
You can't use it as a shaman?
No, it's a class specific transmog.
Oh, like does it actually like, you can only get it?
Yeah, some of these are.
That's unfortunate.
You can get it no matter who you are, but you can't transmog.
Yeah, we've seen this before. Like they've done this before where it's like a specific thing, any character can buy it. I'm getting told in chat that they've removed the class restrictions from it. Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought they had done that.
I'll believe that when I log in and I can purchase this and it tells me I can put it on my shaman, because I want that. I do want that wolf shield, but that's about the only thing from this month that I want.
I'm sorry, I'm just singing wolf shield in my head. Wolf shield. Ooh, it's the shield that is a wolf. It's wolf shield. Sorry, I don't know why my brain defaults to DuckTales, but really, can you blame it?
Oh yeah, they did. They put it in the announcement. Look at that. Any class that can wear or use that item transmog appearance type will be able to. So it's better than previous ones. Excellent.
You will be wolf shielding.
Maybe it's still 500 attendees.
You've got them.
Yeah. The past few trading posts have not really been a hit for me. Like we had last month, it was the bright yellow Plunder Lord outfit, and I was kind of like, eh. And this month, it's the Scarecrow thing, which you can actually also get by doing Hallow's End in a different colorway. And I don't really like either of those things, so I'm kind of sitting here on a lot of tendies, and nothing here screams that I must buy it. But I probably will pick up some of these class sets, particularly the weapons, if I can use them on other characters. I am currently playing an Evoker, which is a male class, and my collection of male transmog is frankly terrible. So anything I can pick up to use for transmog is a good purchase. Anything at all. Almost any.
It's unfortunate that, Evokers don't really get many looks they can even make use of anymore.
Yeah. You have a limited class history. You can't just go back and collect old class sets because you can't solo Dragonflight raids, and that's all you got.
Plus, even if you could, they don't always show on your Dragony form. Your Dracthir form doesn't show its gear. So
Dracthir form shows shoulders and a belt, and that is it.
But still, I'm looking forward to it. Just to, I'm just going to browse around and see if there's anything I want to pick up on characters I don't play as much. Which is, just this Warhammer that you've got. It's a nice two-hand Warhammer, which I actually think would be really nice for a Paladin. But you're not playing a Paladin anymore, so. For an Evoker, I can't even use two-handed hammers. I don't think. What can they use? You can use like pole arms, right?
Nope.
Just staves.
Staff, dagger. You've got some one-handed sword. You've got one-handed mace, I think. But your caster class. You kind of have those traditional caster weapons.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Pole armor is just nice for cosmetics.
I love pole arms. They just look awesome. I want to be able to transform my staff into a pole arm. That would make me happy.
That's the thing about playing a warrior is that you can basically transmog your two-handed your pole arms into staves. You can transform your swords into staves. Like I can wander around with any one of 1,000 staves that I've got in my collection.
Can I rant about something real quick?
Sure.
I'll go for it.
For Joe.
Why?
Is it about daggers?
It is about daggers. You know exactly where I was going with this. Why in the year of our Lord 2024 has Ragnaros not allowed me to start transmogging my daggers into other one-handed weaponry that on my shaman? The fact that I can only do Legion artifacts or daggers on my shaman, a class that I don't have a lot of daggers collected on, and I don't play rogues very often. It is very, very frustrating. I literally took a weapon out of my vault today, before the podcast, that was a fist weapon, just so I could transmog it into a mace. Same stats, but come on, why? Give me a reason. Give me a good reason, Blizzard. Okay, I'm good.
No, it is funny that transmog still has those kind of limitations, especially since they have been peeling them out for other things.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of. I honestly feel like it's a matter of enough people bringing it to their attention.
It seems like a weird choice, like especially for daggers. Like I don't understand when you can. I think you can transmog daggers into swords.
No,
is it just daggers are only daggers? Then I guess
think so.
Then I guess the question is why? Then why is that still the only weapon that has a restriction like that?
Yeah, I would say daggers and swords should work. I'm not 100% that they don't currently work. I've not tried in 2-3 years. By the way, I remember when transmog was the brand new hot property in World of Warcraft, and it occurred to me just now that it's been in the game for like 15 years.
Thanks, Diablo.
I'm so tired. So very tired. How is it I've not already turned to dust? I don't know. But yeah, we should probably move on, though, to talk about the other thing about the anniversary we should be talking about, which is namely the tokens, the bronze celebratory tokens. There's a lot of stuff to talk about there, but the first up is that Blizzard has buffed how many you can get in a week from non-anniversary sources, which I didn't notice when I was writing it up. I mean, just putting it in the email here. So talk about that, Liz, since I heard you talk.
Yeah, it's interesting. They buffed the number of tokens you can get because it was really paltry amounts. You know, you could go and do like a weekly event on the Isle Dorn and get 2. Yeah, and it's like to buy a class set you need 60. So that was it was a little trying. You could do stuff out in Khazalgar and you get a token or 2. And at the anniversary event itself, there are actually very few things that reward tokens. You can run Blackrock Depths. You can do Codex of Chromie once a week. You can kill the 3 world bosses in Daenerys. But the number of things you can do that are actually part of the anniversary event are very limited that reward tokens. Those still don't reward a lot of tokens. But the non-anniversary event tokens, their drops have increased. So just doing your normal stuff on Khazalgar, you log on, you do Theater Troupe, or you do a world boss. I think world boss counts. You do things like that, and you get a couple tokens, and it's like, oh yeah, that's great. You get a couple more tokens than you used to get.
Yeah, I mean, 200% of 2 is still only 4.
Yeah,
nice.
So Dornagal weekly quests now give you 10 tokens each, and before they were 2, maybe 3. The holiday quests, like time walking, those give 10. Doing zone weeklies like Awakening the Machine or Spreading the Light, 8. So things like that. You can get quite a few. And
they are warband transferable, just as a reminder.
And another thing to mention, since we're talking about this, is that apparently you also can get more token drops after you earn your first 100 tokens, which this week is the first time you can do that if you've been collecting, I believe. Yeah.
Blizzard hasn't really publicized this, but your drop rate increases after you've earned your first 100 tokens. But last week, the absolute maximum you could have gotten was, I think, 61. If you did every single thing that rewarded any token, you could have gotten 61. So this is the first week you could even possibly consider getting up to 100 tokens to be able to do that. And at that point, there are actually some repeatable things you can do to earn tokens, like why don't I have this article up in front of me? Like you can do a classic time walking dungeon. You get 2 per completion that you can do as many times as you want. Codex of Chromie, you can do as many times as you want for 2. Those are still pretty paltry. Anniversary bosses, 1 per boss per day, for a total of 6. So there's a lot more little repeatable things. But those, you only start getting those after you first reached 100. So getting enough tokens to do everything is kind of, you have to participate in all this stuff for a while, because even with the increase on for your Khazalgar activities, and even with the increase that you get from getting 100 tokens, you still need a lot of tokens, and they don't drop in large quantities.
Please give us more tokens, Blizzard. Let's talk
I like
a little
tokens.
Please, sir, may I have another token?
May we have some more tokens? Blizzard is, however, nerfing Blackrock Depths because it's way harder than they thought, and right now the most
heroic is overtuned.
11% damage and health nerf on normal and heroic.
I think normal is also overtuned, but heroic is way overtuned.
I think that's not tremendously surprising. Go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, I think it is a little bit surprising, and we can talk about this a little bit. I think maybe as well. I like challenging content, but the very first boss on heroic load Rokor is such a pain, and with a limited size like it is, and I feel like because of flex rating, I don't think they've had to hard balance something like this in a long while, outside of Mythic. So yeah, it was really interesting because we did it as a guild last night. We split into 2 groups, and I was fascinated with the basically the intensity bump. Like, it was wild. And then even dropping down to normal, there were some fights on normal that were like the last boss. Like, this is gonna sound like a weird complaint. I'm not complaining because I actually had a lot of fun last night. It was like going back to vanilla again, where like you had to do the mechanics perfectly, and like you could tell the people who didn't live through that experience because they were not used to it.
It just, even normal, I thought normal felt kind of tuned to like heroic Anabar Palace, because Joe and I are in a guild that is basically heroic geared at this point. We're on the last 2 bosses of heroic Anabar Palace, and it's like we jumped into heroic Blackrock Depths, and we did a few pulls of the first boss, and it was just, this health is ridiculous, this damage is ridiculous. We dropped down to normal, and we started killing things, but it wasn't like, oh, this isn't like a cakewalk, which on one hand, you don't want things to be cakewalk, but they should be achievable, where we did these few pulls on the first boss and we're just like, okay, we are not going to be able to do this. We are not making progress. We are not getting better on this. Let's just dial it down and do it for fun. But even on normal, it was not an easy one.
Although I do think
we got to the...
Go ahead.
Go.
I was going to say, the irony of the level of that they did nerf it by was like, and I was talking about this in Guild, was exactly where we were wiping on bosses in Heroic. We're reducing health by 11.3%. We kept wiping at 10%. It's like, oh, these would have been kills. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
But by a very narrow margin. My group only got up to, what is that encounter? The really annoying
Anger
one where
Forge.
You get the torch and you run. Yes, Anger Forge. We got up to that, and we were getting there, but it was, even on normal, it was not easy.
Yeah, and, Anger Forge is a bane of LFR.
Yeah, and that is true to the original when this was they have changed these encounters.
They did, but not that much. This really evokes the feeling of vanilla Anger Forge.
But
I remember doing Anger Forge in vanilla. I used to pull people up the stairs so that he'd reset, and I would just kill his trash, because trying to fight him with his ads, it was just a nightmare.
You remember Anger Forge? That trash never stopped spawning.
It's a gauntlet, yeah.
You would, yeah, but in this new version, the trash does not keep spawning. You clear it and you move on to the next area. It's not just nonstop like that.
No, it is. It's just they reduced the frequency of it, and there's 2 different sets of ads now. So there's the ads with the torchbearer, and then there's he will continue to summon guards. He just doesn't do it as frequently as he used to. They made it easier, and even though it doesn't feel like it, compared to the original.
Yeah, Anger Forge was never fun. Never fun. But go ahead. So.
I felt that was always the group killer back in original. You were trying to get to the last boss, and you'd get to Anger Forge, and you'd wipe like 10 times, and everyone's armor would be broken, and then you have to hearth back to Stormwind or whatever, and then it's just no one's coming back. It's just, they're done. The group is over.
Yeah. Anger Forge, especially because he was the ultimate in oopsie, I pulled those guys with my butt.
Yep.
I remember one time
very easy
doing it with the group, and the Warlock got too far away and pulled him with his butt, and he literally said, "Just let me die, don't heal me." And so we did, and they didn't reset. They came after us. I was like, didn't work. But yeah, no,
we tried. We tried.
I will say though that Blackrock Depths last night was probably the most fun in raiding I've had in years. I'm not gonna lie. And maybe that makes me one of the weird ones, but like, we talked about you can never go home again, and like,
yeah,
this is making me rethink that statement because it felt just like it felt to me just like running these like at level, obviously with new mechanics, and I really enjoyed. This is gonna sound so weird. I made this comment last night in our group because Liz and I were in different groups, that I kind of enjoyed going in quasi blind and not having looked up guides and going off what information we could find in the dungeon journal and then adding practical application to the encounters. And like, I really enjoyed that. And I didn't realize how much I actually missed that. Like I don't know, like it felt almost more rewarding.
In my day, we didn't even have an adventures journal. We just had to remember what it did.
but like I just kind of really enjoyed it. I enjoyed not looking it up online and not looking up video guides, and like it was a lot of fun, and it felt like this was in that sweet spot of you could do that and it didn't feel like it was going to completely break you for not doing it, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
I understand.
I just had a really good time.
However, we should talk about the guest relations anniversary event. That's basically the Secret Finders, folks. The Secrets of Azeroth style event. This is an official one, right?
Yeah, this is an official thing. It's just you go to guest relations at the anniversary event outside the Caverns of Time, and they give you a little quest that is just like the Secrets of Azeroth, where you get a little thing-a-what's-it, and you go around hunting for treasures and secrets. The Secret Finders community is working to find out all the ins and outs of this one, but have they? We don't know. It is another place where you can get anniversary tokens, though, so at least go and do the first quests. Blizzard has promised there will be more coming next week. Unknown what that is. Unknown if we've even found everything that's there now. But there you go. Go to the guest relations desk at the anniversary to get started. Maybe.
Okay. I also want to mention really fast. First off, the Warcraft 30th anniversary, which is also happening this month. The direct video chat thingy they're doing. I'm not sure exactly what the form of this is.
They have not said.
Yeah.
There is
but whatever it is,
little information on
whatever
this.
it is, it's going to be in November 13th. So yeah. Yay. We don't really know what's going to happen, but at least we know they're doing something for the 30th anniversary. Go ahead, Liz.
It's November 13th at 10 a.m. Pacific, which is a weird time. And it's going to be on Twitch and YouTube, so you can check it out. They have not really said what it's going to be, except that, let's see, whether you're a Hearthstone fan, you've joined the Chaos and Warcraft Rumble, ventured into our Warcraft, into World of Warcraft for, oh my gosh, I'm just mixing this up. They list a bunch of Warcraft games and say, if you're a fan of any of these, there will be something for you at Direct. And one of the things that I think is particularly interesting is they mention Warcraft orcs and humans. Specifically. They specifically mention it. And of course, that is the one that is having a 30th anniversary. But they say, if you have played any of these games, there will be something for you at the Warcraft 30th anniversary direct stream. So we don't know what they're going to be doing, but something.
Yeah, I mean, something is happening, and it's important that we know.
Something is happening, and presumably there will be game announcements.
There's something about watch and earn rewards also. So they're trying to get us, they're bribing us to get there.
Yeah.
So there's rewards for Hearthstone, Warcraft Rumble, and World of Warcraft. And we'll have more details for you soon. So be sure to check back on our official sites.
Yeah.
So blah, blah. I don't know what that means. Something is happening.
The other thing about this watch and earn thing, this is the middle of the business day on, I believe, a Wednesday.
Yeah.
So this is a difficult time to say, oh, watch us live and earn rewards. It's a very odd one. It's an odd schedule.
Explain to your boss. I need that kitten pet, man. Come on.
I really wish they would do something not during business hours. It would make me happy.
Yeah, they do say that after the stream where we do not know what will be in it or how long it will be, after that thing happens, there will be a 20th anniversary concert celebrating World of Warcraft music. So it's the 30th anniversary direct stream, and after it, there will be a 20th anniversary concert, which is not confusing at all.
But it was filmed live in Switzerland, and it's got 3 choirs and a 21st century orchestra. 3 choirs.
Well, one
Tale
for
of Fantasy,
Diablo.
Tales of Fantasy, Ardito, and the last one, forget it. It's got J's. It's got J's and Z's in it, guys. I'm sorry. Madrid Jazz. Yeah, Madrid Jazz. Madrid Jazz. Sounds like yet another one of the
Cathraxi.
like Zaka Jazz and all them, yeah. But we've got 190. There's going to be 190 people in this ensemble playing World of Warcraft music. So that's just if you like orchestral music, that sounds kind of interesting to me.
Yeah,
watching 190 people go through that stuff.
I am kind of professionally required to tune into this, no matter what they announce or don't announce. But I love the music, and it's great to see it like performed. I can't say performed live, but you'll know what I mean.
It was performed live. It's recording when we see it. Yeah,
performed live, observed through temporal magic.
It is one of those things, but it's still pretty cool. I mean, we don't really know exactly what's going on, but whatever. I also should mention the Season of Discovery is on Phase 6 as of November 21st, which is next month. As Liz pointed out, we're like 5 days away from November 1st. And as I think Liz wrote in this, because after I put this thing, Liz wrote in, and frankly, we didn't know there was going to be a Phase 6. And she's right.
I mean, we didn't.
They had
not announced that there was going to be a Phase 6 until they announced today that Phase 6 was on November 21st. So, we usually have a little more content planned for these phase things. Like we have a post guessing at the release date, and we have all of that done in advance, except they just said they were doing this.
Yeah, so
it makes sense.
It makes sense. We don't have to worry about the date. We know exactly the date is. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
We should also mention Cataclysm Classics Rage of the Firelands update. It's live, and next week is going to be the release of the Firelands, which is is it the raid or the zone?
Yes, at the actual raid, you'll be able to go in and fight your way to Ragnaros.
Just remember, he's got legs and he knows how to use them.
He never begs.
Does he though?
He knows how to. I'm sorry. So, did we miss anything? Did we skip anything? Blah, blah, blah. No, I think we got pretty much everything for WoW here. Oh, that's cool.
A lot of stuff happening in WoW lately.
We have enough
been
time.
Busy.
We have enough time to move into some Diablo stuff. First off, is something I wanted to mention, because I'm pretty not subtle about the fact that I am blindy McBlindserson, and they've got more accessibility features coming in Vessel of Hatred. There's auto pin, which just allows the thing to put a pin at your target when you select a quest, so that
that's
you can
so good.
Line straight to the quest, and you don't have to find the quest and put it there yourself. There's more audio navigation assistance, which is a feature you can enable, and that basically you get spatial pings that will tell you where if you're moving further away from the pin, the pings will change. It's basically doing hot or cold with you to tell you, no, this way. Don't go that way. That way is bad. Go yes. Now you are pointing in the right direction. No, you're doing it wrong again. I'm just assuming that's what it's going to sound like because it's going to be happening to me. And trust me, I'm not going to be getting it right. But that's a cool update because it works best with headphones, by the way, but I use headphones anyway. It's one of those things that if you don't have the visual issue, sometimes you don't really understand. Because my brain is operating with less actual working vision, it interprets what it gets differently. And it's really weird because I used to be completely normally sighted. So I remember that my brain worked a certain way. And it's weird to realize it has learned to work a different way. Like my eyes track a lot more. One of the reasons I get so many headaches and so much head strain is because I'm constantly tracking my eyes around to make sure I get as much stuff in here as possible. This will mean that I don't have to do that as much. And so I am super jazzed about this change. It's amazing. It's really good. The next thing they're talking, these are already in the game, by the way. I've already noticed autopin. The next one is that the compass feature now has a HUD element that will circle around the player and let you know where you are compared to you place a pin, this thing will give you a pointer on the ground saying right here. So comparing that with that in the auto pin noise, there's quite a bit of stuff to tell you, okay, no, you're going the wrong way, man. Your quest is over here. And I love that. I know that some people want to have an experience where they just explore the world, which is why I think it's great that this is all selected. This isn't default. You can select this. And it's one of the things I really love the most about it is that it is there.
Turn it on or off. We've talked before about difficulty levels in games and how some people want a more difficult experience and some people don't want a more difficult experience. Having those options and options to make things easier for you when you need them, that is great.
Choices are good.
Well, plus, I mean, this is a situation where I can't imagine anybody who would find auto pin to be objectionable. You know what I mean? Like, I get why you might not want to use it.
Say that.
I say that, but... and I know there are people out there who do. But, I mean, just the fact the way that Diablo is doing it, the fact that they're bringing in more stuff, because they have launch blogs talking about the stuff they already had. This is all new. Back in May of 2023, they had a whole post about all the stuff they put in when we started. And all that stuff's still there. And like, for instance, the dexterity assistance bit where they have a complete button remapping. They've got skill toggles and action wheels that you can use. They've got swap left and right sticks. You can change that around. You can really customize your control scheme, especially if you're using a controller. There's the text assistance stuff like subtitles, but there's also speech to text stuff. All that stuff is already there. There's font and cursor resizing, which, by the way, I use the font resizing like a madman. The in-game gear audio cues, which is basically just noises that the gear makes when it falls when you kill something, which, I don't know if I consider that an accessibility thing or not until just now, but I do like it. Item highlighting, which is also great. Player highlighting, which outlines actual player characters. So you can see, that's a person. That's not an NPC. That's just an actual player. There's a lot in already, and they're adding more. And I want them to keep doing that.
Yeah, we talk about accessibility a lot, and partially, because of your situation, but I have a lot of friends who, especially as we get older, and let's face it, we are getting older, accessibility options become more important to us, whether it's things that add, auto pin or, things that make things more visible, stuff like that is, I want more of that. I'm hoping that they extend this into other games. Like I have a mild complaint about Nexus Princess or a particular fight where it's doing that thing that I complained about before, where like on the one N'Zoth fight, the one before you go inside of N'Zoth's carapace, where like immediately causes light sensitive migraines. But certain colorblind modes affect it. We have another fight where it does that. I need them to look at that, maybe, adjust colorblind modes or whatever the case is. But when they do that, they make things more enjoyable for us and for people, which broadens the number of people that can play the game and enjoy the game. And it's good for everybody. I like seeing more accessibility options.
Okay. Next thing I'm going to mention is that Liz wrote this one. And I have to read it in a dramatic reading here. Diablo 4's Halloween event started, and I am wildly unimpressed. There's even an exclamation point there, so it really needed to be read like. Although I gotta say, I don't disagree with her. It's not tremendously exciting so far.
But you can get a horse.
Yeah, I got the horrible horse.
You can get a horse. Yeah, it is a horrible, horrible horse. I mean, this is...
It looks like it has some kind of horrible leprosy. It doesn't even look like an evil manifestation of darkness. It just looks sick. Like,
also, can we all agree that Meat or Treat sounds like something that would be in a very, very questionable movie?
Yes. Yeah, either a horror film or something else.
So there are daily login rewards that you can hit up the shop and get something probably horrible, like this horse, which is a horse that has very pale, mottled, diseased-looking skin and no eyes.
Yep.
So that's a thing. That's a thing you can go and get and ride all over Sanctuary. And then there is also an event, ? Where you can run dungeons and there are shrines that may or may not do anything. It's a little unclear in the description of the event, and it is actually a little unclear if you play the game. So
yeah, I haven't actually gotten to this part yet, but I don't know.
I went in and I ran some nightmare dungeons today just to see, okay, what's going on? And it's like, what's going on is it plays just like running a nightmare dungeon, maybe with a somewhat increased chance of treasure goblins or butchers, maybe. But it's you run a nightmare dungeon and it feels like running a nightmare dungeon doesn't feel like you're getting more rewards. Doesn't feel like you're getting more events. It just feels like running a nightmare dungeon. So I wish I knew what this event was supposed to be or do, because I do not. I do not know.
The only thing I can say is that the shrine looks an awful lot like a Jolly Rancher made of congealed blood. So that's basically all I got for this weird, shrine that looks like a candy that's made of blood.
I don't know. Am I supposed to be looking for a special event shrine? Is it supposed to happen at every shrine? Because in both of those cases, I don't know what's supposed to happen.
It's fair. I think you're supposed to look for the shrines with the weird things going around them that are unusual, but I can't describe them. But I also got to say, I'm going to have to read this to you guys. The nursery rhyme that they have got on the page here is meat or treat, feel hell's heat, give me something bloody to eat. And I was like, guys, you've ruined the meter. It couldn't be bloody. It could, something good to eat. It has to be like a single syllable. It can't be bloody. It's just got to be good. Blood. Give me some blood to eat or something. It's just, no, you can't. No, you ruined the meter. Quite frankly, the butcher, you are a terrible poet. No, it's not that bad. I'm just, I would razz the butcher if he showed up singing that. I'm like, come on, buddy, try to lock the meter down.
Even Cookie Monster in Sesame Street respected meter. Thank you very much.
Cookie Monster is actually a master of that. Don't step to Cookie Monster. Maybe Eminem can, but anybody else, don't try. Wow, I was Eminem Cookie Monster rap battle, and then they team up, I guess. But yeah, it's a weird little celebration. You get a weird little horse. I don't know exactly what's going on here. I feel like they should have done more with the butcher, quite frankly. Like there should actually be a special encounter somewhere in the world where you go to, like, say, I don't know, a monastery, and you go in and you confront, say, the butcher, and he's on a flying horse for no particular reason except that I can't think of another thing. Yeah, I'm just saying, it's okay to steal from your other games.
There may not be a cow level, but there could have been a butcher level.
Yeah, absolutely. Imagine you teleport in and there's a bunch of butchers mooing at you.
Oh my god.
Oh god, I need this stop.
I mean, this just feels like this doesn't even feel like there's an event happening, because you go into the dungeon and it's a dungeon. You're running a dungeon.
Yeah, and I want to be perfectly clear. Like, I understand the timing is also a thing here, because like
expansion just happened.
Expansion literally just happened, and maybe next year we'll get some new stuff. But like, I would like to see them really lean into the Halloween thing inside of Diablo 4.
They've done other holidays. They did the winter one. And quite frankly, if there's a holiday you're going to nail when you're doing Diablo, this should be one of them. Yeah. I feel like Halloween and the gore-infested demon explosion spectacular that is Diablo should kind of have some synergy, is all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
But okay, we should also mention that Diablo 3 Season 33 went live last week, I believe, but after we did the last podcast, so I'm just mentioning it briefly. I forget, it's Shades of the Nephilim, which is actually a pretty good season. I seem to recall it fondly. I might have to reinstall D3 on this thing, because I don't want to play it on my Xbox, because you can't. Diablo 4 has spoiled me, because I can play Diablo 4 on my Xbox and then play it here on my PC, and it's the same characters with the same gear and the same progression. And when I try to play Diablo 3 on my console, it's not in any way the same as my Diablo 3 on my PC. And it just, that's not cool. But it's not their fault. I mean, it's an old game at this point, and it's only been on consoles like for half of its existence. But unfortunately, it's much more fun to play on consoles. It is what it is, but it is a cool season. Let's see what. Can you talk about this Hearthstone thing, Liz? Because I do not know what it is.
Oh, Hearthstone, the Great Dark Beyond launches next week, and I will probably for next week, because that's when it's launching. It's a little bit of a surprise, just because this is earlier than we expected the next Hearthstone expansion to be launching. But
this is the space one.
This is space themed. You will have spaceships. You will have a new Draenei minion type. It's very exciting. I'm excited.
Cool. I think at that point, though, we've talked about the Dragon Age things so much in the pre-show, and plus we're out of time, so I don't think we really need to talk about it anymore. But I will say, guys, Dragon Age: The Veilguard is this week, and I need Dragon Age: The Veilguard. So now, if anybody has a spare copy, feel free to give it to me. And if you don't have a spare copy, feel free to give me your copy, or just send it to me or something. Please, need this game, unless it's terrible, in which case, give it to me anyway. I don't care. I need to play this game. But yeah, anything else you guys want to talk about before we move on to saying goodbye?
No, I got to rant about transmogging from daggers. I'm pretty content today.
Okay, Liz.
I will say I do want to thank a new Patreon supporter who joined us this week, Drewski.
Oh, I didn't see that. I'm sorry. I should mention that.
Oh,
earlier.
That's okay. That's okay. It's fine. Bringing it up here. $3 gets you early access to the podcast, and you get to listen to our pre-shows. And today we talked a lot about, pretty much exclusively about Dragon Age and game reviews. So if you're into listening to us talk about non-Blizzard things, we do more of it in the pre-show. A little random, but we have fun. And so I'm going to hand it back over to y'all.
Okay, Joe.
Oh man, I was hoping Liz was going to do it again, and I would be able to get here and enjoy the freedom. But that's okay, because Blizzard Watch is made possible due to the generous contributions at patreon.com/BlizzardWatch. Your continued support means that this podcast signing community is able to thrive and grow. Blizzard Watch supporters enjoy exclusive benefits like early access to the podcast, better chance of having your question answered on our podcast with a Q and an ads-free site experience.
Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you to Liz for basically remembering that we had a Patreon call out, because I completely missed it, and I'm sorry. But thank you, Liz. Thank you, Joe. And thank you to everybody else out there for being here with us while we do this show. We really appreciate it, because it is you guys that make everything happen. If you've got a question for us, you can either email us at podcast@blizzardwatch.com, subject line podcast or Blizzard Watch, so we know it's for the show, or you can go to our Discords. We've got 2 Discord channels on our Discord for people who want to ask us questions. The one is the Q and Podcast Questions channel, which is open to everybody. And the other is the Patron Q and Podcast Questions channel, because patrons deserve a little bit of love just for helping make it possible for us to keep doing this. Please, if you do ask us a question, it's really helpful if you give us some kind of pronunciation guide or something, because some names are fine and other names are like Madrajaz, where I'm looking at it going, there's J's and Z's in this, help me. So if you throw in a pronunciation guide, we will do our best to absolutely make sure that we do not mispronounce your name, because that's important. But thank you guys so much for being here with us. This has been the Blizzard Watch Podcast, and we will see you next week.